The karmic poetry of this is beautiful. So you have these businessmen in the U.S. literally kowtowing in front of the Chinese premier, for billions of dollars of the deals, but at the same time they're firing Americans. So, this is an interesting time in history, and China, of course, is looking to somehow. Anyway, let's move on. What was the second question? Okay, the internet kill switch. The internet kill switch. We see it happening in Cairo, right? They flick the switch. They shut down social media. You have this completely obliterates the point of the internet to begin with. The internet is supposed to be point-to-point, open-ended. It's the point of the internet under the DARPA design was that you couldn't take it down. You couldn't kill it. There's thousands and hundreds of thousands of points.
Instead, under this, you can only visit a handful of sites like Facebook. They admit that's the model.
Right. Well, in the initial thing, and the reason why there is a Facebook is because any frickin' 22-year-old Harvard guy could create a domain site and go to the world and get thousands of users and create a company. But that will kill that. That's another reason why Facebook is overvalued at $50 billion is because they're killing the golden goose here. If you strip the entrepreneur out of the internet, if you make it impossible for people to reach the world for free, which was what made the internet this multi-billion, trillion global phenomenon, you're killing it. You're killing the golden goose. So why? Because those people like Comcast and the major media companies, they want to squeeze just yet another few pennies from the consumer, and they don't care if the consumer has to go into debt, and that brings us back to the casino gulag. So the people on these sites like Facebook, not only are they going to spend all their money on virtual currencies, getting avatars and other game pieces to show off to their friends in a meaningless way, but they're going to go into virtual debt. This is a subject that has not been talked about. In other words, the same way people go into debt today with mortgages they can't afford or car payments they can't afford, people online are going to start going into virtual debt. And the only way they can pay off their virtual debt is to stay online 24 hours a day, clicking on ads and participating.
All right, stay there.
Becoming a modern smoker is now easier and more cost-effective, thanks to LeSig. Traditional smokers the world over love LeSig. E-cigarettes with a look, feel, and taste of real cigarettes, but without the nasty smoke, ashes, or stains. LeSig is powered by revolutionary microelectronic technology. A small rechargeable battery and unique replaceable cartridge provide all the satisfaction and benefits of smoking without the smoke and all the hazards. See the large variety of LeSig e-cigarette supplies and accessories at LeSig.com. That's LECIG.com. LeSig is competitively priced, comes with the best customer service, a 30-day warranty, and satisfaction guaranteed. What a great gift idea. For a 10% discount, mention GCN when you call 870-518-4307. That's 870-518-4307. Ask for fast, free, same-day shipping. Order online at LeSig.com and use promo code GCN at checkout. That's LECIG.com. LeSig, for today's modern smoker.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
Hello. At OfTheField.com, we strive to empower you with wild food preparedness. We get lots of amazing positive feedback, most of which we feature on OfTheField.com. Here's a small sample of all that people like you have to say about the wild food experience.
It's inspiring for many who are affected by the recent downturn of the economy.
I already knew a bit about foraging and edibles, but you take it to a whole new level.
1,000 thanks to you for all that great knowledge. It was empowering.
When I was in the Navy, I went through a couple of quick land survival classes.
Thank you for being an inspiration and for all the work that you do.
I really appreciate the depth and detail of the information.
Thank you so much.
Much love and respect to you from all of us here in the boonies.
Thanks again.
Knowledge is power, and that power brings peace.
Folks, thanks for letting us help you get back to basics. Read all of the testimonials at ofthefield.com. You can order online for you and your loved ones or call 1-888-51-EAT-FREE to share in the secret.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
All right, we're back live doing a couple more segments with the one, the only Max Keiser, going directly to your calls. But Max got cut off by the break. We're talking about the internet morphing away from a free, open system that has been the only boon for our economy, really, in the last 15 years, the only real growth sector driving everything. And now the globalists, going back over a decade, have openly said they're going to phase it into this internet too, where you've only got a few thousand choices. All of those are globalist subsidiaries. If you have a domain, it will be a subdomain of a Facebook or a CNN or a New York Times or a government site or a university. And now, what Keiser talked about 3 years ago on this show, Goldman Sachs, Facebook, where you, quote, make money clicking on ads all day, but it's not enough money to live. And meanwhile, they know where you're at. They're tracking you. They know your every move. They know what you're doing. They want to keep you on their internet platforms where you waive your rights when you're on Google or Facebook, and now they can surveil you. And they train people how cool it is to give all their private data up to these systems. It's incredible. Is that what you're getting at, Max Keiser?
That's one half of the story, which is the gulag story, and the other half is the casino story. So in order to keep people hooked, of course, they use all the tricks and the techniques of the casino so that people they win a little bit here and there to keep them hooked, and all the behavioral economics and all the ways that they now knew through neuroeconomics to keep people hooked into this gulag casino. So at the end of the day, you're there gambling your entire life away to make enough money to get a cup of coffee, and just like that couple in South Korea. I don't know if you saw this story. It was a few months ago. They got so involved in raising their virtual avatar baby online as part of a game that they neglected their real baby, who starved to death.
Yes, I did see that. Let's put the cherry on top on this and then go to calls. People are being sucked into the internet. It is becoming the literal matrix. It's a fantasy world, and people will go out and mug folks to have money to go into Second Life and all these other virtual systems to then have status in the false reality. And then as we neglect the real reality, it allows the tyranny to come creeping in. And just like Orwell talked about how Big Brother would use lotteries, and the proletariat would have energy and intellect to have fake systems to win the lottery, but couldn't wake up to government corruption. This is the system of enslavement, is this forced gambling society.
Right. Just like, for example, a Wall Street bank, like J.P. Morgan, is the #1 dealer in derivative products that end up in foreclosures and devastation in America. Guess who is also the #1 dealer in food stamps in America?
They control the system. Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan.
They make you homeless. They put you on the food line, and then they also make a business in the food stamps. That's what J.P. Morgan does. Now, Goldman Sachs has a play in Facebook because it's a new virtual gulag casino. They'll have people having their prices of food so high they can't afford to eat. They'll be online all day long trying to make enough virtual currency to convert it into dollars through their swipe card that'll be provided by for them. You can already go to 7-Eleven right now. They have a deal with Farmville, which is part of Facebook. You can get actual food in exchange for the credits.
And you predicted all of this 3 years ago on this show, Keiser. Incredible. Here's some breaking news. Florida judge rules healthcare law unconstitutional. A federal judge, as a second federal judge, has ruled that healthcare reform bill signed into law last year by Barry Soetoro, known as Barack Obama, in March was unconstitutional. Today's decision is the second ruling by a federal judge against the constitutionality of the health care legislation. 2 other federal courts have upheld the constitutionality of the law, including its requirement that most Americans buy health insurance or pay a penalty. But then meanwhile, if you get an imperial chit from Obama, like McDonald's or others, you don't have to get the health care, but your competition does, giving you an unfair trade advantage. Talk about a stilted, jilted table. Talk about the casino gulag where the house always wins, but you, the suckers, don't. And bringing up the J.P. Morgan involved controlling the food stamps and having foreign operators in India answering the phones for the unemployment systems. It reminds me of congressional studies that came out where big mega banks laundering hundreds of billions of dollars of drug money a year, this is admitted, also own the private prisons where they put you when you use the narcotics they ship in. I mean, they've got this whole thing actuaried out. They've got this thing figured out, Max Keiser.
Well, that's the casino industry. It's extremely, calibrated and calculated to bring people in. They use those frequent player cards in the casinos. They know your emotional psychographic. They steer you in ways that you have fallibilities in your psyche so that you give up most of your money. Two of the biggest fallacies I hear from the, let's call it the liberal press, are 2 things. Number one, that Barack Obama created some kind of new health care that's beneficial for people. That's false. Plus, the banks are paying back the money they were given by the government. That is also false. When I tune into people like, for example, Bill Maher, he has a show on HBO called Real Time. Every week he says, well, Obama's health care and or the bank bailouts, we're getting our money back. Both of those things are patently false, and which is frustrating because there's nobody in mainstream media or even, let's say, CNBC's Rachel Maddow, who's a kind of a more on that left space.
Mr. Maddow.
Who was willing to admit that health care was a big, huge, wet kiss to the insurance and pharmaceutical companies.
Well, they publicly wrote it, and I would tell moron liberals that they're not even liberals. They're just tuning into a fake corporate transmission of who they are and then defending this false reality.
30 million people are going to have to go into debt on behalf of the pharmaceutical and insurance companies. That's what that bill means.
And it allows them to take over and cut doctors out of the equation of deciding what health care you get. And that's what the liberals want. That's their eugenics. Let's go ahead.
They refuse to just look at the plain facts on these cases. The bank bailouts, for example, you hear all the time, we're getting paid back for the bailout money, which is, again, is completely false. All you have to do is look at that debt ceiling number. If, in fact, there was anyone getting paid back for anything, would they be raising the debt ceiling again by another $1 trillion? And that's going to end up being raised several times over the next year. And it's absolutely ludicrous to think that any money is being paid back to anybody for these bailouts. In fact, they're just siphoning up more cash on a daily basis and just making.
So where does it end? Because I got to go to phone calls. People are holding patiently. I'm going to skip this break. We're going to take these calls, but where does it end? I mean, do people wake up out of the Matrix trance while they're playing, games like Angry Birds all day? Do people stop it? Or is it just over for us and the globalists figured out mind control? They figured out, a beautiful kaleidoscope to suck us into this, and that's it, humanity's over.
No, we're seeing it over in other countries. They are reacting to this issue, and it's just the U.S. is going to be one of the last countries to react because of that dollar reserve status and the fact that even now, the relative cost of food and energy for most Americans is dirt cheap relative to the rest of the world. And that's why America is going to act last.
And that's why the system is gearing up all this paramilitary force to suppress us, because they can't believe what they've already gotten away